Hello, everybody. This is Joshua Hatton with One Nation Under Whiskey podcast. I am joined today with the wonderful Jessica Rabbit Guillermo Lomas in the Hussy. Hey, Jessica. Yo.
Welcome from my crib, as I think the kids say. Is that what the kids say?
I don't think the kids say so. Crib anymore.
Oh, okay. Well, as some people around these parts say. Will that do?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Fuck it. I thought we were going to have to burn it down and start again.
I'm going to tell you, I don't know what the kids say. They don't say crib. They don't say pad. They don't say, I don't know what they say. I'm a 52-year-old man. Does a woman in her 30 man, know?
But you do have in your possession some of the time two younger people who are younger than even I am. So
yeah,
put it on your notepad of things to ask them when they next come home.
Yeah.
And we can get some answers to the listeners.
I'm throwing words and terms like bet. Like when someone's like okay or yes, my daughters will say bet. Or if they're like they can't believe something is being said, they're like dead ass. What the fuck is...
No, yeah. I don't interact with children who speak like that. When I encounter them, they tend to be very small and they've not yet mastered the ability to talk like that. So if that's what they say, go young people or something.
I guess we had our slang, and I'm sure you had your slang, and your mom and dad were like, I don't know what Jess is saying. I don't know what she and her brother are even talking about.
Probably. Can't think of any specific examples to give you now, though. There must have been. But bet is a thing I have heard people saying. I really hope it doesn't come this side of the pond. It deeply irritates me.
It sounds like just a shortened version of you bet, which...
Or betcha.
You know, or you betcha. I wish people would say that. You betcha. That would be better.
Yeah. The other one that I find your delightful fellow countrymen say is when they ask you a question, they put or no at the end. So if I said, could you get me that drink, or no?
Or no.
Maybe it's just a New Yorker thing. I could name several people who are familiar to this podcast who say it.
Yeah, that's giving people options. I would just say, could you get that for me?
It's it's the replacement of the word not with no. Like, did you go out and get the shopping or no?
Or or did you get the shopping or not?
Yeah.
Huh.
Definitely, it's a New Yorker thing. I know several New Yorkers that do the or no instead of not. I've got a long list of these things that annoy me, but I'm scared we'll scare off the listeners. Quick, get away from me turning myself into a massive curmudgeon and corrector of grammar and spoken language.
Yeah, and that's not why we're here. I don't think the listeners come to hear us talk about what the kids say and how upset and or how detached we are from the modern vernacular.
You're right. That's what our OnlyFans is for. Subscribe for the extra levels on Patreon where we discuss the things that really upset us this week.
So you know where Jason is right now. He's out in the forest clearing trails and stuff.
Turned into a forest troll. Mm-hmm. I keep describing it to our people within the warehouse as he's abandoned civilization and moved out to the wilderness, which I think actually, if he was given a little bit of a choice, Jason possibly might do. Away from all of the luxuries of the modern world, no internet signal, no mobile phones to annoy people with. If you want to get hold of him, you have to write to him using a carrier pigeon. I think he'd be, up for that. I don't know where he would plug in his laminator for his notes that he likes to keep. That's a very niche inside joke that I will now share with the podcast listeners. We have a running joke that all the production sheets, which every other normal person keeps as a spreadsheet on their computer, Jason prints it out, laminates it, because otherwise by the end of the production year, it's like a tatty rag. So I don't know where he'd plug that laminator in, but I guess if he's in the wilderness, he doesn't need a production sheet.
It's funny how he got here, though. I mean, this is a guy I remember early on when I met him, and I don't know if the three of us knew each other when this happened, but this is a guy who live streamed his vasectomy. I mean, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Well,
Jess,
I think now he should stay in his wilderness because I have too many questions to ask him when he comes back.
I mean, he didn't point the camera downward or anything, but
it was just like a close-up of his face. Somehow that's more horrifying.
Well, it was picture. Let me clarify. I mean, there were pictures as it was happening. I think there may have been a thumbs up here and there. Were
you on a very niche subscription service to even be party to this? Because I find it hard to believe he put this on Facebook. Or is this why he had to delete Facebook?
This was OnlyFans beta. Yeah.
It's all coming out now.
Only vasectomies.
Jeez. Well, I think maybe once you have shared that kind of intimate moment with the nation and the internet, which is full of very strange people, you probably should turn social media off. So that would explain a lot.
But yeah, you know what? That's a very good point. That's a very good point.
I feel a bit weird that we're discussing this with him not here. Just me, you, and the listeners. That's fine.
Just keep it between us, right? He doesn't need to know. He's not even going to listen to this.
Okay, what else? Have you got any other juicy gossip you want to pop into this episode that perhaps wouldn't have come up between the pair of you at any other point?
Well, Jess.
We could make this like a confessional.
Every time Jason is out, we should bring something, a thing about him.
Okay. But you know who I think would be ripe for giving us this kind of information? I feel like Yoni Miller has a folder saved for this sort of occasion specifically. And possibly if you want West Coast representation, I'm going to say Benno might also be good for this kind of information.
Yes.
So that's two people that we're counting on to possibly provide us with potentially salacious or litigious information. Jason's not going to go away again. That's the takeaway from this.
They have memes. I bet you they laminate the memes they make about him.
Yes. Yoni's going to turn up with them like masks to the Jubilee. That's what's going to happen.
Speaking of Jubilee, really quickly, before we hand it over to our conversation with Sammy Karachi, which, by the way, was such a good time. Jess, I really wish you were part of the conversation. But anyway, before we hand it over to that, with the Jubilee, we are now at about 65, almost 70% sold out on the tickets.
Oof.
Yep.
That's exciting.
It is very exciting. We have 45 tables in total, and that's what we've had in previous years for the Chicago Jubilee. And 43 of those 45 tables are claimed. And of course, Found North, today's topic of conversation, they will be there, which is super exciting. And our friends, I was very excited about this one. Our friends at Ardbeg and Glenmorangie just signed on as well, just yesterday too. So that was really exciting. Nice. I'm looking forward to what they're bringing. So, as this builds more and more and more, it's, I'm reminded of what it was like between 2012 and 2018, doing this 3 times per year, getting the exhibitors in, selling the tickets, working with the caterer on the menu. There's going to be some delicious food. Another thing, I was speaking with Bikram from Norfolk Wine and Spirits in Massachusetts. He's got, I think, 10 to 15 people from Massachusetts flying in for the event.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
I half expected Bikram to have a busload of people who's going to drive up like some sort of road show.
You know what? I guess I assumed they're flying in. Maybe they are busing.
You're right, because in my head, my American geography is, well, they're both kind of same-ish side of America, so driving seems reasonable. You guys, you love to drive. Why would you not just be driving 7 to 8 working days to attend a 4-hour festival and then drive all the way back?
Yeah, it's a good 16 to 18 hours. Yeah.
You know, there are people in Glasgow who won't drive to Edinburgh. That's like an hour and a half. Or a 45-minute train. Yeah, I always admire your dedication to being in big cars on big roads.
We love big cars.
And
we love big roads.
That's very true. That's true. I'm very excited about the Jubilee because I am going to do some of the things I've never managed to achieve at any previous Jubilees, which is walk around the other tables and talk to people.
There you go.
And I will be making a beeline for the Found North table. Because as you and I discussed before we hit record on today's episode, I have never found them in the UK.
That's right. Yeah.
And I've tried looking. Stuff. I've not found my Found North. So Chicago, October. That's where I'm going to find it.
Yeah, I think you'll be really happy. They make Canadian whiskies incredibly interesting. That sounded like damning toward
just leaving you with the rope to hang yourself there. That's what I was doing. I wasn't going to make a single peep. Listen.
This is what I'll say. I'm going to hand it over to Sammy, to Jason, and myself, and we'll hear Sammy talk about what he does with the various components from these Canadian producers, because, and he'll explain this, but what they do is they distill the single grain. They distill corn, they distill rye, they distill wheat. And quite often the typical Canadian whiskey is that single grain. And he's blending these together. That's what I mean by he makes it interesting. He's doing on a very small scale something that these larger companies don't do because they're producing for large scale releases. And that's what I really appreciate about what they do. So
nice. Okay.
Yeah. So let's hand it over to Sammy, me, and Jason, and then I'll meet you on the other side.
Let's do it.
Sammy Archibald Karachi. I assume that's your middle name, Archibald?
It is now, I guess. Finally, top of the call sheet. I got an A in there. That's great.
Sammy Karachi of Found North, head blender of Found North. It's really good to have you on the podcast. Welcome.
Good to be here, guys.
Yeah.
Hey, Sammy.
You and I have known each other since before your days in with Found North, and so there's a lot for us to be talking about, right? I mean, you're the head blender there. We want to dig into some of those geeky elements in sort of your insight, your take on blending, your approach to blending. But as Jason and I, look back at our time with Single Cask Nation, and this being our 15th year of the company, one of the questions that we've been leading with all of our guests is, what were you doing 15 years ago? What was Sammy Karachi's life 15 years ago?
The face we just made there. Oh no, I wasn't anticipating a history question.
Guys, yeah, if you're all listening to this on the podcast, fire up the YouTube so you can see the shock and horror in my face as I thought back to the years of little Sammy Karachi being a bartender and a manager, and then working for Marnetti. At the time, I believe the largest liquor distributor in New England. I really wanted a liberal arts education in the food and beverage world. And I think I've achieved that. I was working in restaurants since before I should have been allowed to work in restaurants. Like certainly shouldn't have been doing that when I was 14. Well, washing dishes, being a bar back, line cook, working in beer places, wine places, cocktail spots. It was a ton of fun, man. 15 years ago, I was having a blast doing much of what I do now, which is finding balance in flavor.
Okay.
Like I think if you're trying to draw a line from 15 years ago to today, it just starts with a passion for flavor. And that passion was instilled by having two parents that loved cooking. I think.
Oh, okay.
And I think I was just obsessed with flavor. I mean, I know it sounds silly, but I wasn't like a picky eater per se. Really early on, I was a curious eater, and that obsession and curiosity first manifests as finding the extremes. Like when your parents aren't looking, you eat a whole, spoonful of sugar, and you eat like a piece of buttered toast that's more butter than toast. And you put enough hot sauce in the chili when mom's not looking to like kill a small horse, and then like once a few years later, when your taste buds all grow back, that obsession for flavor turns into really like looking for balance.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I was at that point in my life.
That's absolutely wild.
Yeah. So all right. So you've got parents with a passion that cook. So do you have I think about myself growing up and different foods. My mom, we had a local sort of South Asian grocery store by us, and she was always dabbling in that. Like, were your parents bringing that in, infusing different flavors, and that was the spark for you? Like, let's dig into your childhood. Like, lie down in a couch. Tell us about your relationship with your mom.
I have an olive colored sectional over here. Should I just lie down on that? Would that work? I can find something burgundy. If you gave me a little more time, I could find something a little darker. That's fine. You've honed in on what's important is like the childhood. We were pretty humble means growing up. My father was born outside Casablanca, Morocco, moved to Boston when he was like 18 for school. And my mom was my mom and my dad met working at if you know the Revere Hotel in near Chinatown in Boston, downtown Boston. That's where they met. They both worked there. Okay. Yeah. And early on, again, not a whole lot of money, but we had an amazing spice cabinet because whenever my dad came back from Morocco, like you could smell the saffron when he got out of the taxi from the side. Like, so we were cooking the same lentil stew or couscous. Like my mom learned all the Moroccan dishes from my aunts because all the meals are passed down. The recipes are passed down through the women in the family. My dad is a great cook himself, but he has no idea how to make couscous. No clue. It's like the parable of the Manhattan drinker who orders a Manhattan every single day for 20 years. And then one day the bartender's sick and the new guy comes in and says, "What do you want?" He says, "I'll have a Manhattan." And he says, "How do you make it?" And the guy says, "I don't know." If you've been ordering it for 20 years, he doesn't know you doesn't have the recipe. So we tons of spice. Was fascinated by like saffron and cumin and tarragon and all that stuff. My mom being one of 9 Irish Catholic, not a whole lot of spices in that cabinet growing up for her. But a deep desire to I mean, it's so she was always looking for flavor, same way as me. But gave me the outlet to enjoy it earlier on than she had. So, I mean, when I go over to their house for dinner, like they still live outside Boston, I might have couscous one night and then bibimbap the next night. And then, like Rogan Josh the next day.
Yeah. Hey, here I am.
Yeah. Hey, now. So there's a lot
of the place.
I'm in the wrong podcast. I thought it was going to be a different vibe. Talk about UFC. But yeah, I hope that answers your question. Yeah, so much crossover, so much all over the place, constantly tweaking, even today.
And then, are you an active cook to this day?
I cook 90% of the meals that my wife and I eat. Yeah, I love cooking, even in this tiny apartment that has no counter space, no dishwasher. It's a miracle what food comes out of there. But
it's awesome.
I love to cook. I couldn't do it any other way. Couldn't live any other way.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Okay. So you've got growing up with cooking, you've got cooking under your belt. You sign on, you grow up in the restaurant world, the bar world. You're in with Martinetti. How does your life, how do you get in with Far North? Talk to us about that evolution into Far North.
Into Found North.
Oh, sorry, Found
from
North.
There. No worries, there's a bunch of them.
Found North. Yeah.
It's between those pieces was 4 years at Edrington. I was
shit. That's right. That when I first met you, when you were with Edrington.
We might have bumped elbows at like a Gordon's tasting event back when I was pouring stuff for like Gary Kaimak years before that in my Martinetti days. Maybe a little bit elbow back then, but mostly we were on the same trade. We were on the same routes when I was selling the gospel of Highland Park and McAllen. Great gig. Had a lot of fun doing that. It was.
Were you focused northeast? Were you up and down the eastern seaboard? Were you national? What was that? What did that look like for you?
New England, mostly fixed in New England, but also as a spot starter. You know, if we were, I would jump into Chicago or New York or Miami whenever needed. I always had my hand up. And also I kind of just wanted to see as many new markets as I could, because you know, like you eventually you play the same rooms. And it can get a little monotonous sometimes. Sometimes it's
What? No. What?
I love those rooms. I also love missing them. I love coming back to them, feeling at home.
Well said. And
walking and seeing those faces, and not having anyone think, "Oh, you again." But I think I was I didn't spend much time in Scotland, but there were obviously trips to Scotland during that time. And the most fun I had was actually at a little blending mini game that we had during like a sales meeting or something. And anyone that wanted to try blending whiskey, do it. And it was, as far as I understand, it's the test that they give you if you work anywhere in Edrington, whether you're a receptionist or a truck driver. If you want to try and be a blender, you can take this test. This is how Bob Delgrano got the job, actually, because he worked with the grain. I think he was back at house before he started getting to the blending team. But you walk into a room and there's 5 unmarked bottles of alcohol on a table. One of them is Famous Grouse, and the other 4 are components of Famous Grouse.
Yeah.
Your job is to identify which is Famous Grouse and then make Famous Grouse with the other components. You have 10 minutes, and you can't taste anything. You can only use your nose. That's the test.
This sounds like a very fun escape room.
Yeah. If that were the case, there'd be a lot of people still in there years later with no way out.
Skeletons littering the floor.
Imagine a long table and like a bunch of people with a bunch of little bottles. And when some guy came around to test all of our samples, he'd said about mine that I did pretty good for an American. So I took that as a huge compliment.
Yeah. It's a backhanded compliment, but a compliment nonetheless.
I don't think that. Yeah, I'll take a backhand. It's fine. I'm not pushy. So, I mean, I loved it. I mean, I absolutely loved it. It was difficult. It's hard. It's really hard. Blend. It's not the same as cooking or as making cocktails. I have the same. I told you, Josh, about the flow chart I have in my head when you're riffing on a cocktail, or if you're making a pot of stew. Generally, if something is like a little too bland, you add acid. And if it's too acidic, you can add fat. If it's too rich, you add spice. If it's too spicy, you add sugar. If it's too sweet, you add bitterness. If it's too bitter, you add salt. If it's too salty, you start over. Like you messed up.
You add a potato.
Sorry, you did a bad job. Yeah, you could add a potato. But that's like there was a 1-to-1 flow chart meant for flavor in food and drink. But as soon as you start blending whiskeys, it gets a lot more complicated. It is at its equal parts chemistry and art.
So hold that thought. I'm putting a Joshua Hatton style pin in this. We're coming right back to this moment. before we press on, Edrington, 4 years. If you look back on your 4 years, what's the number one thing you take away from those 4 years?
Number one thing.
Number one thing.
I have like 4 number one things.
See, that's a Joshua Hatton answer, so that's good.
Yeah. They're all spending time with me. Those are the 4 things.
Sure. That was the greatest joy of my time at Edrington, seeing you somewhere, anywhere. I joke. I had a great time. I learned so much. I think the number one thing I learned was because I was in a position of power as a representative of this big, gigantic machine that transcends whiskey. Macallan's not a Scotch whiskey as much as it is a luxury product. And there are people that ask like gotcha questions, or like questions that are pinned very negatively, and are not spoken with derision, but are like, I think it. I stopped taking that personally really quickly, because these are folks who at once really loved Macallan and then saw it priced out and saw them no longer targeted as the core audience. Yeah. So I think if I can take all that experience, which was again positive, it would be not to take things personally, because these are folks that really love what you do, or that like love. This is coming out of love.
Yeah.
What's the quote from that Wes Anderson film? Fear is merely anger is merely the expression of fear that they won't get what they want, feel that they'll be misunderstood. It's from the Grand Budapest Hotel. Great movie.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So I try to think about that when I see someone giving me a saucy question. And then the second thing I learned that's in that world, after not taking it personally, is to realize that I actually didn't want to be put in a defensive position anymore. I was uninterested in protecting something that existed, that will exist long after I'm gone. That just felt so much bigger than me. So permanent. Macallan is great whiskey. I drink Highland Park today. I still love that whiskey. I think it's one of my favorite distilleries on the planet. But I wanted to make something from scratch. I wanted something new. I wanted the thing that I could lend. I wanted to be answering questions from the point of view of someone who had to ask so many more of myself. Like, I can tell you exactly why we did this. The coolest thing about Canadian whiskey is that every single bottle we make tastes exactly the way we want to, because of the way that it's distilled. They distill all the grains separately. They mature all these grains separately. So like if you're in bourbon country making you're deciding on like how you want it to taste, you start with the mash bill and it's all blended together. It's all distilled together. It's all matured together. And then after 5 years, you have a whiskey and you think maybe, I wish I could add 2% more rye to this mash bill, and they can't do it, but I can do that. I can add precisely 2% more rye to this already mature whiskey if I want. That is the kind of control that got me so excited. Got all of us excited about Canadian whiskey. If I opened a bourbon distillery, I would make bourbon like Canadian whiskey. Like it gives you full. Yeah, man, it's so much better. It's so much fun.
All right, I removed.
That was a lot. I'm sorry, you asked for one.
That was good.
I'm so sorry. That was a heavy pin.
But I like that you came back around to control. Right, you're representing someone else's brand at the end of the day. A brand that is bigger than you, will exist longer than you, and at some point you're kind of like, well, where's my DNA? Like, where do I get to put my thumbprint on a thing? I think that makes perfect sense. Right, you've got two guys who are making recommendations about bottles you could buy. And then we went ahead and started to put some casks into bottles of our own. And we're able to put that out in there and say, this is us. This is who we are. So you're with like-minded people, Sammy, as you always are when we hang out.
That's why I feel so comfortable. It's great. The vibes are great here.
So circle back to your blending there. So you're talking about science. You're talking about, the art of it. Like, give us a few more leaves on those branches.
Yeah. Well, you might, so like going back to how it's not really super linear, the combination of flavors and the way that I had understood combining flavors. It's really just a matter of whiskey has a lot more flavor compounds than you can see at that first glance. So 2 + 2 = 4 when you're making cocktails, generally speaking. But in whiskey blending, like 2 + 2 = banana, and banana -2 = chocolate. And you think you can take an overly sweet whiskey and an overly bitter whiskey and combine them, and you'll find some semblance of balance, but you might get something that's like acidic, or it just took a weird sort of corner. And that's because either you didn't have a clear enough understanding of what each component did on its own, or you were drinking it too high of a proof, such that you couldn't navigate all the nuance inside. There's like for example, there's one compound of the millions of compounds you guys know about, like mercaptan. Mercaptan is a compound I love talking about because it doesn't behave linearly when you combine it with water. If you taste at 100 parts per million in a solution, mercaptan tastes like burning rubber, and not in a cool ILO way. It tastes like acrid, and like burnt spice. And then if you dilute it down and down and down to like 5 parts per million or lower, all of a sudden it starts tasting like grapefruit out of nowhere. And that is something. If you think about every permutation inside of what ends up in some of our whiskeys have, like 12 component whiskeys in them. Like that's a lot of action you have to keep in front of you. A lot of action there. Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder. I wonder if that's some of the compounds. So first off, as soon as you said that, all I want to say is, "Oh, Captain, mercaptan." But anyway, that's put that behind.
Good thing you didn't say it.
I'm glad I didn't say that.
Oh my gosh!
But I wonder, quite often you find that in rums like a Caroni rum, or sometimes you find that in some Rude Voors, you get that sort of burnt rubbery kind of quality. And so I wonder if that is that compound that you're talking about. So interesting. Now, I've never heard of that compound. So cheers. Appreciate that.
Happy to share. It's the limited amount of chemistry I do possess.
So it's not only not linear, but I like what you said about the fact that it can change depending on the ABVs that you're working with, right?
No doubt.
So quite often when you hear talk of Scottish blenders, right? And they say, oh, well, Scottish blenders take the ABV down to 20%. Is this something that you do when you put your various whiskeys together? Do you do that, the 20%? ABV?
Great question. Yeah, I guess I would say there are a lot of different times at which I will run into a component whiskey. Mm-hmm. Early on in the process, it's deciding whether I want to buy it, right? So I'm going to taste a whiskey in a different way if I'm deciding whether or not to purchase it than when I'm blending it early on in the blending purpose, or even like late when I'm on the 1 yard line. Mm-hmm. I'm a little more binary at the beginning. It's yes or no. Like either this has flaws or this doesn't have flaws. Some flaws are easy to tell at cask strength, and some of them are not. So to answer your question, especially if I'm looking at rye, if I want to buy a bunch of rye are the hardest thing to find. Mature rye is the hardest thing to find on this continent. Really, there's not. You can find old corn and old Scotch, and you can buy old cognac. Like there's a lot of old high age statements categories out there, but the hardest thing to find, I think, even to this day, is very old North American rye. And I think the reason for that is that a lot of it has to be blended out, given how much rye that we've turned down. I think we're also the pickiest people on the continent when it comes to what we source. Like we've turned like half of the seasoning casks that we buy from barrel brokers and from cooperages we send back or we sell to furniture makers because it doesn't meet our standards. We could talk seasoning casks later. Rye, the problem with rye often is that it was stored too wet. You really want to make sure you're no wetter than like 12% moisture, or else it will you'll most likely develop geosmin.
And the grain itself?
Yeah, like it will manifest. It will manifest as a musty sort of petrichor flavor that survives distillation, and it's because of how you stored your rye. It was too wet. Okay. It showed up. Maybe you did a core sample in the truck, and you missed it. You didn't go deep enough or something, and now you have a wet, moldy tasting rye. That's something that I have to water my whiskey down to like 20% alcohol or or lower, just to make sure that there's no hidden mustiness underneath. Soapiness, you can get like any sauce, any saponification, you can usually find that on top. You can find, but to answer your question, I water down when I'm assessing whiskeys, whether or not to purchase them. But once I'm blending whiskeys, when we got, that's, usually me and Phil and Nick, or some combination of the two of us blending, we are blending at cask strength, and we are drinking at cask strength, and we are swallowing all the stuff at cask strength, because that is how it's going to be consumed by people. You can spit wine, because so much of wine's enjoyment of wine is the bouquet and the palate. But it's 65% alcohol. So much of the story of how that is going to be perceived by somebody is the finish and the retroolfactory and the hug. I can't be spitting that out. So. Yeah,
that's fair.
Those could be tough days. That could be tough days.
Yeah. Back again to the comparison of a Scotch whiskey blender, or even here in the U.S., right? If you've got a master blender like your Eddie Russell, or insert blender here, and they're dealing with single malt, or they're dealing with bourbon, right? They're dealing with a singular distillate. Unless you're like a blender for Johnny Walker or something like that. But, here you are, you're dealing with a multitude of distillates, of rye, of corn, of wheat, of God knows what. And so I'm wondering how you sort of manage all of that, the intake of the spirit, the wood, like basically how you manage that, and how you consider those different spirits for projects and products coming up.
That is the core of what we do. I mean, you struck gold. This is what I think differentiates us. We're a blending house is how we see it. We're a bunch of Americans that love Canadian whiskey. We source from like a half dozen different distilleries because we want as much character as possible. I think I checked last night. I think we have 173 lots of whiskeys.
What does that mean? So
that a lot's meaning of whiskeys of a certain whiskeys that were distilled this day of this grain type from this place. So for example, we have one lot can be the size of 2 casks we bought from somebody, some corn whiskey we bought them that's 18 years old. And then we could have another lot that's as many as 150 casks of a 10-year-old rye from a different distillery. And we separate them into lots like this.
Okay.
We have hundreds of thousands of liters of liquid across warehouses in Canada and in America. So it's a lot to be on top of. Yeah. So we regularly get samples sent so that we can kind of chart where they're going, because we'll buy whiskey and know that it's not going to end up in a bottle of Found North for 3-4 years because of how much secondary and maturation we want to put on it. We recask so much, and it takes a while. Sometimes we recast things twice, and that is the core of the job is buying the whiskey, deciding what this whiskey needs to do in order for it to be useful to us, and then watching that whiskey closely, because some of these whiskeys they can turn on you really quickly. Remember, we're not talking about necessarily just 10-year-old stuff. We're talking about 25-year-old whiskeys that if they go overly tannic, then we're in deep crap there. So part of the job is knowing when to pull things at their apogee. And like I'll take things out of wood and put them in a drum, a plastic drum, just to hit the pause button on them. And if anything, they improve when they're in that plastic, because they just kind of get to settle down and wait for all of its brothers and sisters to catch up to it. So I make sure that I'm not vatting 30 casks for a release for our high altitude collection at once. I'm vatting them like as I need them, and then I can finally let them marry when they're all at the right place. So that takes a lot of work, a lot of tasting, a lot of checking up. We baby these casks despite how much we have. We want to make sure that we're doing the best we can. Yeah. So, things slip. I mean, things will slip by. Like I'll have a cat if I have like a like for example, the last Peregrine release we did, there were 3 casks that I pulled out of that blend, because not because they were flawed, but because they fell out of profile for what I wanted. So they're not in Peregrine. So Peregrine's a little bit smaller than we thought it would be, than we hoped it might be. But those are also still incredibly useful whiskeys that we'll use elsewhere. We can, blending solves all of problems. It's just, I've never met a whiskey that we couldn't make better by blending it, honestly.
That's an interesting takeaway.
There was a lot in your question. Yes, several hundred Cask Nation is what we are. It's our unofficial title. Did I leave anything on the bone there? I can circle back.
Well, I mean, I've got one last question, and then I want to hand it over to Jason, because I realize I've been monopolizing a bit here. So now I understand how you're utilizing your different components, right? Your 170 some odd lots, right? What is driving that? In other words, when you have a new idea, is it you've got a new component that comes in, you say, shit, I could build something around this? Or, what is it that sparks that idea for you of something new?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think inspiration can come from both directions. It can be that I run into a whiskey that I didn't know would be available, or it threw a flavor that I haven't seen or that we do not possess. And that's always exciting. We're trying to get as many different colors and shades as we can to work with to paint the picture. When we released batches 1 and 2, I mean, we only had like 4 lots of whiskey to our name. We were pretty much, that's why it was so hard to blend it. So it took Nick and us like a year to make batch 1 alone. And we were doing it during COVID. Like I would be blending. Oh my gosh.
There it is. Batch 1 right in hand. Oh, did you mention batch 2? Also in hand. For our viewers.
Look at that. Original pressings. That's incredible. Those were both bottled the same day. I consider them inextricably linked. I remember that day. Oh my gosh. So long. I was so young.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just
no worries.
Just a little humble brag right there. That's all.
What the heck was I talking about? Where am I? What happened?
It was inspiration, and you were talking about in those early days you had like 4 lots, right?
And now I think, and also inspiration can be like, well, what flavors do we not currently have sort of examined in our portfolio? We have Helldiver, which if you love sherried whiskeys, like if you like Ball Blair and Anok and Glendronach, that's the whiskey for you, babe. And that's really fun. And I wouldn't now make another whiskey that had a lot of sherry character to it because I have that locked in. What is it that I need to add to this list? I'll sometimes work backwards from there and see if I can, if I have the lots that are peaking at the right time. I have whiskeys in my head that I'm so excited about making, but I can't make them for another 2 years.
Wow. Okay.
And I have whiskeys that we're making right now that I had been wanting to make for 2 years. So there's always a bunch of things cooking. It's just some things are in a skillet and some things are in the crock pot. It depends on gotta have options.
Yeah.
But the answer both. What's a spreadsheet? I just mostly write things on Post-it notes. I have a bunch of Post-it notes back here. You can't see it in front of me. It's just like like a beautiful mind with the yarn tied up on the wall. Post-it notes.
And I'll connect
Why
this
whiskey?
to
Question mark.
No one's seen this before.
This is not a job that's done by one person. The inventory management, like Daryl and Zach, really work a lot on making sure that we always know how many liters of something we have and precisely how old it is, so we don't miss out on age statements. Even though sometimes we miss them intentionally because the whiskey is it's better 1 month short of that next year. Fine, but it's good to know all these things, not just for compliance, but just it gives us an idea of what what we can paint with. Like, I can't paint a sunset if we're all out of red.
Yeah. I always come back to that in my own mind, and we quote it on the podcast early and often, but being at places like VDC, Virginia Distillery Company, with Amanda Beckwith, and we walk through the warehouse and she's talking about all the colors that can go on her artist's palette, and we walk around as Single Cask Nation thinking, okay, does that cask stand on its own merits? And so that further idea of, well, you could use a little bit of that for this purpose and a little bit of this other one for that purpose. I'm curious for you, as you start putting that together, are there times when that's overwhelming? Are there times when you've just got so many options that you can't quite narrow it down? Or do you have techniques for narrowing it down?
Yes. The answer is yes. It's definitely overwhelming. But thankfully, we don't have to. I don't have to do it alone. Nick and Phil and I, this little troika. You can't blend alone. It's always good to have extra palettes and to double check your work. Ditto. It's also helpful to know. It's helpful to have so many different product lines of us already that we've built up, so that I have different buckets that I can put different flavors in. So it simplifies a bit. When I taste a component, I think of, okay, this would be good in these 3 buckets. This would be good in these 2 buckets. And then, this is a singular whiskey that I really want to save only for this one thing. And that makes the job a lot easier of developing like a sales plan and figuring out what you want your floor plan to be for the next couple of years. But to be frank, like whatever floor plans we've built out for what we're going to sell in a given calendar year, we've changed it every year. Like we've pivoted, which we should do. We're 6 people. It's a small company, and it's really fun to be able to pivot in that way whenever we need to.
Yeah.
Can you summarize those buckets for viewers and listeners or newer to Found North?
So Found North, we generally have the main buckets people will know are batches. Batches are whiskeys that we blend and then do not finish in any way, right? So if you want old whiskeys dominated by corn profile, think like 80% rye, 80% corn, 20% rye. They have a lot of new wood character and high, very high proof as always. Think low 60s, low to mid 60s. That is really for like the bourbon drinker by way of Scotch drinkers, Irish whiskey drinkers. All of our whiskeys are informed by our love for all different sort of categories of whiskeys, but this one I think is most bourbonish. So that's sort of what the batches are. We make maybe 1.5 a year, roughly.
Okay.
That now, if we make a core blend and then we put it in a bunch of finishing casks, and then blend it again together after they've matured to our standard, to where we want them to be, that would be the high altitude collection. So it's blend, finish, and reblend. As you heard me talk about Peregrine, which is one of our high altitude collection whiskeys, not all the whiskeys make it after the finishing process. It's a ridiculously difficult whiskey to make. All of them, like from Helldiver, Hoverhawk, Goldfinch, Peregrine. It's very tricky. We have to first make a blend that is great on its own, but leaves room for the flavors that are going to be added to the maturation profile. So when I'm making Peregrine, I'm leaving a little bit of room for the fruit to come out from the cognac casks, and I'm leaving a little bit of barrel spice room for the new wood that we're going to get from ISC or from Kelvin Cooperage. Right. So I have to figure out that. You're wrapping the present on the way to the party a little bit. You have to see what's gonna come out.
Leaving space for cask performance is making me a little bit nervous right now.
Imagine telling your boss. Imagine telling Zach and Nick that Peregrine is like a 20-year-old whiskey. We have 150 gallons worth of Peregrine. I'm not going to bottle, by the way. So you have 3 casks worth of 20 to 25-year-old juice that we're just going to have to sit on indefinitely, by the way. Sorry, I don't have a plan for it right now. That's how important it is for us to nail it. Like we came to that realization on our first flight of Peregrine. It was like, we laid down 8 barrels. And when I was iterating off of when they had them on the rack, I just felt like it tasted better. It was an A+ if I took out 1 cask. but we made more money if I left it in, and it was more like an A-. And it was just like, and to our credit, like there's no one in the company who thought that was a difficult decision to make. We're like immediately, make the better whiskey. Yeah. If we had one motto that we put out like in our head at all times, it's always follow the whiskey. If we want to make if we sit down and we're like, we're going to make a 4-grain whiskey today, and then we realize it tastes better when we take the wheat out and it's just a 3-grain whiskey, good. Do that then.
Yeah.
Yep. So just, like have the inspiration, follow the thought, but then let the whiskey kind of take you there, take you home.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the second bucket is the how-to collection. That stuff is tricky to do. There's also a sneaky thing called second summits where we pull like 1 cask's worth of a batch. Every batch we pull 1 cask worth and we finish it. So you can have a finished batch if you want to see side by side. Those are incredibly rare and not easy to make or find, right? Because I didn't leave any room for that batch to have any finishing. So it's kind of just like, it's like, it's like being a little too up close. If you're like in the front row of an IMAX theater, like the movie's gonna be awesome, but you have to be ready for a mouthful of flavor. We do private blends as well. We have a couple of things cooking, but yeah. We got buckets.
Okay.
Got a few buckets.
That's good. I like that. And I like the idea of making it manageable. Right? When all things are on the table, that can be the overwhelming place. So,
and it just gives also our people, there's something for everybody. Like maybe you want the big, like muscatel flavor, like in a finishing, like in a 15-year-old plus whiskeys that has spice and it has fruit, but maybe you just want the acoustic version. Maybe if you want Nirvana unplugged, that's you want batches then. That's cool.
Yeah. I like that.
Fantastic album.
Yeah, it is a fantastic album.
Yeah, not bad. Actually, I have a question for you guys. You can go back to asking me questions. I have a question for you. Now that you know a little bit more about Fountain North, I got to ask you. Josh, I mean, you said you called Bruichladdich was like the Sex Pistols. You said Ardbeg is like Slayer. I think David Bowiemore, I think, is maybe a portmanteau that I'm making up right now. Maybe you did.
Bowiemore was David Bowie. Yeah, exactly.
David Bowiemore. So if you for the fine listeners and watchers, what band would you compare Fountain North to?
Oh man. Well, I mean, I kind of put it in my name here. I would say you've got so many tools. You do so many weird, unusual things. You may be Angine de Poitrine.
I'll take that. I'd be honored.
Yeah. That's why I put Angine de
Poitrine. I wanted to know. Hell yeah.
I love it because. Go ahead. You finish.
No, I was just because I lost a ton of money because I figured you were going to say Rush or Celine Dion, depending on the whiskey.
It's Shania Twain, really.
Shania Twain.
That's who it is. Yeah.
Yes, of course.
Yeah,
imagine if you had said Shania Twain. I think Sammy's face would have completely fallen.
It would have turned off the plot. I mean, that would have been it.
So thanks, guys. Brad Pitt.
I've got a heart out. I'm sorry, guys. That don't happen.
Angine de Poitrine landed really well. That was good.
Yeah,
that was good.
Yeah. I really love what you guys are doing. The whiskey that you brought at the Water of Life event, Matt Learn's annual event, the charitable one. There were so many whiskeys being poured that evening or day. I guess it was day. And the ones that really stood out for me was your whiskey and then the Glen Scotia. Like those were the ones that really popped for me. And hearing you talk about how you put it together heightened everything for me. And I found the flavors to be everywhere, but yet cohesive. And that's how I think about Angine de Poitrine. The notes are everywhere, but yet cohesive.
Chaotic polyphony.
Ooh, Ooh, someone ate a dictionary.
I got a word a day calendar from 15 years ago. Steve when I was a bartender. I think the hope is that every whiskey we make, what's delicious about it should be obvious and approachable, but it rewards the closer taster to come back and find that nuance and that complexity, because complexity can be, it could also very quickly turn into overwrought. And I'm so happy to hear that it landed right in that sweet spot for you. Every whiskey, every Fountain whiskey has to have 5 main things. It has to have oak, sugar, fruit, spice, and fat. So those are my 5 pillars. I was
going to ask. It was like, what are the markers of a Found North bottling? What ticks the boxes? So boom, perfect. That's fantastic.
I just read your mind. That's honestly, yeah. So we've had whiskeys where we're like, oh, this is like a 9 out of 10. It's awesome. It's a great whiskey. Certainly a bottle of a whiskey. But if it didn't have like a little bit of fruit character, a little spice character, it felt like something that was not quite complete. And we'd always try to get it to a 9.1 or to a 9.2, just working on those little tiny things that can make it a little bit better, a tiny bit better. If people are wondering like why they drink Canadian whiskey and they think it's a little boring, I would say it's because we are taking whiskey components that are just bottled as they are. Like if you taste something and you think, oh, it's just fat, or like, oh, this is just kind of sweet. Those are incredibly useful whiskeys, and we use them. We use them in concert with all the others. You would also hate a whiskey that was just oak or just spice. It'd be really like, you don't want anything that's like too linear. But I'm constantly buying all those boring whiskeys that would otherwise end up on the shelf. And making them better together. So like people ask me all the time, like, why aren't there more whiskeys like this? And I tell them all the time, it's a silly, I mean, it's not a silly question from someone who, if this is the first Canadian whiskey they've had and they really love it, I'm always, I thank you very much. I'm very humble. I'm very appreciative. That means a lot to me. All these distilleries from whom we source could make whiskey like this, but they don't because it'd be too expensive. It's too much work. They make billions of dollars selling the simple stuff. Who am I to say that they're doing it wrong?
Right. Yeah, it wouldn't work if we were all doing the same thing. I'm curious, of 4 of your 5 elements there, Sammy, definitely sound, spirit, and cask driven. How do you describe the fat component to the consumer?
Thank you. Yeah.
Fat, yes. Fat is, maybe it's a bit colloquial on our part. We like fat just because it's a little silly, but fat, we're looking for viscosity. I think I think it's something that even when a uneducated drinker drinks something and says it's smooth, that's not a flavor note. That is them telling you that it was easy to drink, and viscosity certainly helps that, right? I mean, that's mostly a function of proof as well, right? So how do you make something? How do you change smoothness when you're only doing cask strength whiskey? It's by using a lot of those really simple double distilled corn whiskeys that are aged in refill for a long time. It's having whiskeys that are 15 to 20 years and older that haven't moved around a lot. It's the constant. We think of angel shares like you're losing something, but you're also gaining concentration. You're getting more texture when what's left behind is going to be thicker, right? So even if you think, well, distilling something to a high strength and then putting it in refill oak is making a light, boring whiskey. Like, yeah, that's the point. It's really useful because we can use that as one of 5 elements in a whiskey that we create. Without it, everything would be pointy and sharp and spiky and astringent and harsh. And that's why you want both. Yeah. Yeah. That's where the mild nature of Canadian whiskey comes from. It's not as much climate. I think I'll mess up the exact numbers, but like 80% of Canada's population is within 100 miles of the border. And that's the same can be said for the warehouses. So it's not too dissimilar from a lot of distilleries that are near the border, like near the American border. It's more so that they're mild because of being in refill oak. And being in refill oak makes them incredibly useful for recasking because I can nudge them in any direction I want. We can put them in new wood from Kelvin or from ISC and add some smoke character and some color and some caramel. Or I can throw them right into French oak. Or we have 100 different cask types.
Yeah.
Between oak, Hungarian, French, it's Amarone. We have Pinot de Charan Rouge and white. We have all kinds of different purports. It's a lot easier to do this with refill oak. So that's kind of been one of our superpowers.
Yeah, nice.
Wow.
Nice.
Sounds like you've got
definitely.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Just texture, definitely one of those things we talk about continually as well. Texture maybe doesn't live on the flavometer with the sweet and the rich and the spice and the oak, but it's definitely part of every selection for us.
Mm-hmm.
If I wanted to maximize, I would add water. I would not release things at cask strength. So by releasing at cask strength, I'm doing it because I trust drinkers to water it down to whatever proof they see fit. We never chill filter. Like that seems like a weird way to make your whiskeys thinner if you want. I've had the pleasure of tasting a whiskey. Have you ever tasted a whiskey, the same whiskey, chill filtered and then not chill filtered side by side?
No.
It's really, I can tell you right now, if I could do a triangle test on you and you would never find a difference in aroma or flavor, but the palate there's definitely a texture thing there. And I think texture is just important, is as important as flavor because it's how it transports flavor.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, when you talk about the 5, pillars to Found North, Single Cask Nation has a few, I would say, balance being one, would we drink it being another really big one, but texture is one that we talk about all the time. Like it's key, right? That first sip when selecting a cask is as best we can, ignore flavor and focus on that texture. What is that doing across the palate? It's so key. If it's burning your face off, then you're not having the best experience, So yeah, texture is so key.
Well, and all of us are living in that cask strength world, right? And so exactly to your point, Sammy, you're looking to convey flavor, but you're also trying to control alcohol burn. And that's the aspect for me when you take those lipids out of there. Sometimes you'll get more of an alcohol burn at 40 and 43% than you will at 63%. But people think 63% is rocket fuel in some instances. And it's like, no, it protects your taste buds, So it's good at educating the consumer in that way. We're all fighting the same battle over here.
I think you can drink whiskey however you like, as long as you've tried it both ways. I mean, try it out.
Right.
We the one thing we do to get around the fact that we would prefer to release these at a different proof is we add language in the back. We call it manager's proof. And on the back of every batch, starting around batch 6, I think, we put in the back what we recommend watering it down to. So I have in front of me, this is our latest batch. This is batch 12. And I write down here that different proof points reveal different nuances. Manager's proof is our preferred strength for a given whiskey. To reach manager's proof for batch 13, add 0.15 milliliters of water to a 50 ml pour and let the liquid rest in your glass for 30 minutes. And then, so that way now I have both ways. I gave you cask strength whiskey, but I'm also showing you it's better right here.
Interesting. I
should be getting kickbacks from the micropipette businesses out there trying to get that number right. But the idea is that it helps.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely go down that path of everything we release at cask strength. We firmly believe is drinkable, enjoyable, perhaps at its peak. Maybe not a term we would throw around, but we definitely want it to be the idea of that cask for us at that strength. Then it's very much to your point of, but you're the one drinking it. It's your palate. Add water as you see fit. And then kind of a little bit like your back label there is, but add a little bit and then swirl it and nose it and taste it. And if you need it, add a little bit more. Like, don't completely wash it out from the beginning and then go like, oh no, that's terrible. Start with a wee bit, add a wee bit more. Really go on a journey with that whiskey and see when it hits your palate. So it's always good, I think, to leave that door open for the consumer. So they do get a chance to fully experience the whiskey in front of them.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I think you're generally in a good tasting room when you don't see eyedroppers, you see spoons. I think a lot, not to do a no true Scotsman rhetoric flaw here, but I mean, people are adding a ton more water in Scotland when you're drinking Scotch than we do here in America. I think bourbon. It's kind of my. If I haven't done a straw pull, but that's how it feels.
Yep. I always say this is my spoon I take everywhere, showing my index finger. That is what you need to pop into some water and let drops fall off. There you go. That's it. That's all you need. The index finger with some drippy water.
Yeah.
That'll move your whiskey.
Sometimes you do too.
Oh boy.
Sorry.
Didn't take too long.
This is a different podcast. So Sammy.
Yeah, hi.
With that in mind, what does the next 5 years look like for Found North?
Ooh. I think it's like most of the revenue from sale, like when we make money, like it just goes back into buying more whiskey. Like we were constantly.
So you're not pulling a paycheck. You're just doing this for fun.
Am I supposed to be paid for this?
I think you're meant to be paid for this. That way you can get a Burgundy couch.
Why should Found North pay you?
My gosh, yeah, I gotta make a couple phone calls, guys. No, I'm so happy. It's a dream to work here. I think we wanted to build a company that could be around for decades and constantly get better, because when you're not distilling, you are. It might feel like you are at risk of being only as good as the whiskeys that you can find. Yeah. And I no longer have fear of that, given the great relationships we've built over the years. I'm sure people ask you all the time, I want to start an IB, or I want to start an NDP. And I'm sure you say some version of don't do it.
Stay away.
It's
turn around.
Go. The best day to start an NDP is 20 years ago. The second best day is 19 years ago. Like, still don't do it. But 5 years from now, man, more flavors, more types of whiskeys. We have some whiskeys that, again, like I said, they're awesome, but maybe not quite commercially viable yet, given age statement things. I like to have, like, we want the differences and nuances of flavor across the portfolio. You also want price mix to make sure that you can still get awesome whiskeys for $100, $110. And I think there's still some white whales. There's still a couple of distilleries. There's still some people that I'm really interested in working with, and not just the big boys, but also some younger folks, some newer distilleries. Okay. But I think 5 years from now, we'll be continuing to surprise people. I think when people drink our corn whiskey, like, I think when they want to drink our batches, they must think that, these guys like bourbon. And when they taste batch 1 or batch 3, they think, these guys love rye. And if they drink batch 5, they'll think, these guys love wheaters. I hope that soon enough, when they drink our whiskeys, they'll say, like, oh wow, like, these guys really love Canadian whiskey. Hopefully by then we would have helped enough people realize that the range of flavors available to you in Canada are very wider than they are in bourbon. So if you love bourbon, and there's no reason you shouldn't, I have as much bourbon on my shelf as I do Scotch and cognac and rum. I would say, my gosh, keep on drinking bourbon, but also start drinking some Canadian stuff in there. Like, it should be in the same shelf as your single malt. Oh my God.
Yep.
Come over to my house. I'll pour you some.
There you go.
And his address is. Will we? I know Found North has a table at the Jubilee October 15. Will we see you that night? is that too far out for plans right now?
That is in Chicago, yes?
Yep, October 15th, Chicago.
I believe, I mean, if I would love to go. I think I know that we're going to be there. If I'm not the one at the table pouring, I'll be on the other side drinking. I definitely want to be there. I'll pay any price.
It'll be great to see you again in person. I've missed seeing you. We had a good time in San Francisco last year.
We did, yeah. That was a great event.
That was really fun hanging with you. So, yeah, that'll be great. Hopefully we'll see you in Chicago. Hopefully the nation and other attendees of the event get to come along, taste that Canadian whiskey with you. That would be very good for them also.
It would, as it has always been the joy of my life, blending and sharing whiskeys that we make.
Wonderful.
Love it.
No better words than that to get out of here.
All right. Mer Captain, my captain. It was great having you on the podcast, Sammy.
Oh my gosh. It was an absolute joy. Thank you so much for all the love and the questions and the ha-has. You guys are lovely. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Likewise.
Ha-has are key. Awesome. You take care, Sammy. Great hanging.
Yeah.
You do the same.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers.
Huge thanks to Sammy for taking out the time to talk with us. Sammy, it has been great knowing you all of these years, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you do as you continue to expand everything with Found North, and nothing but success for you guys. And the future's bright. I'm really excited for you guys.
That was very nice. That was very thoughtful roundup to the interview that I look forward to hearing. And having a little sip of eventually. Yeah. Not at the same time. I mean, that'd be incredibly weird if I was listening back to me and you talking whilst walking around the Jubilee and drinking whiskey. Mm-hmm. I think. I could test it.
Yeah.
I'm looking I'm not going to dig myself into a hole, Joshua. You can't drag me in there with you. No. No.
These holes are for me.
Okay.
It's a joke in there somewhere. But no, I'll I won't drag anybody into the holes that I dig. They are for me and my own self.
Somewhere in the background, HR is just hovering with their hand over the phone, just like a little bit closer.
Is he going to say it? Is he going to do it? Always living on the edge.
Not today, boss. Not today.
So Jess, you have the privilege of looking after all of our export markets, basically all of the markets that are outside of North America, basically. And you do a wonderful job doing that. And I think one of the things that we don't do well enough is really highlighting that here on the podcast. And so I thought it'd be good to take out some time and highlight what's coming out as our ROW, aka Rest of the World, release number 13.
Correct.
And so I thought we'd take some time and talk about maybe some of your favorites, or let's go through them, and I want to hear some of your thoughts on them.
Sure. I can't believe we've got to 13 of these releases. That seems kind of scary. Every time I make like the new sell sheets to send out to our markets all around the world, and the number gets one higher, I get like a little kick out of it. This release has got some firsts, and some firsts that I don't even know if we've done in the US, I think. And an exciting one that I'm going to leave to the end, because then we can discuss what I've left out to the end when we get to the end. And it's maybe a little bit of an exciting bit of news for everybody. Hold on to your wallets, people. I will tell you about some markets that are not US based, and you can listen to what you want to buy outside of the US. So as always, there will be some retailers within the UK who will have US shipping capabilities should you be based in the US and really desperately want to buy some of these. And as always, I put little asterisks saying, please don't send me hate mail. When we release all the delicious things that are in the US, people always complain to me, I've seen these and I can't get them because I'm not in the US. And I'm like, I know. I work for the company and I can't get them either. So, yeah. So let's go through the ROW 13 releases then. I guess we'll go in maybe no particular order.
Okay.
Except for the one at the end. So you'll have to pay attention till the end.
Yep.
So there are 7 things in this release, 7 casks that we have put together. And I'm going to start with, we've got a little Glenlossie, which I have not done for ROW markets. Yes.
That.
Joshua's got the lovely artworks here. And what I should have done was give him tell him what it was I was going to put up in which order. So he's learning with you listeners. That's what's happening here.
Yeah. I've
so I'm going to go with a
finger at the trigger here.
He's ready to go. I'm excited about this Glenlossie. It's something which I have been asked about a few times because we've never really done anything that's in a ruby port or any sort of port barrique, as far as I'm aware, for ROW. And it was something I was asked about quite a lot last year, and also at Nuremberg this year, some months ago. So here we are. By popular demand, so I expect you to all rush out immediately. This is a little Glenlossie, 15-year-old, and it is 4 years in a first fill ruby port barrique. So it's got a lot of kind of lovely juiciness to it that you would expect to get out of a port barrique. And I think it was a bit like pick and mix, and like all the red sweets in a pick and mix.
Oh,
that's what it made me think of. And a bit kind of caramelly, but definitely lots of like lovely, bright, summery berry things. Perfect little kind of summer into autumn sipper is what I'm calling this. So 15 years old, 56.3%. I was really happy with this. This was a really easy pick for me when we were picking from the casks that we do in our big selection. This definitely stood out early on to me as a potential, and having that ruby port extra maturation on that was really a great kind of boon to me. Second up in my lineup, I'm going to stay in Speyside, and I've got a Strathmill 13-year-old.
13 or 14?
13? Oh no, 14. Sorry, I can't read. 14. It's got a big 14 on the label. Well done, Jess. So that is also Speysider. We've got a little bit of sherry happening in here with a 2-year finish in a first fill American Oak Oloroso hogshead. These American Oak sherry casks that we have, both as Oloroso and PX, definitely my palate really enjoys them. It gives you some of the kind of sherried sweetness without it being too spicy, which you can sometimes get with some of the Spanish ones. So a bit of a kind of personal slant on that for me. But again, Strathmill is a first. This is the first Strathmill we have done for the global markets. This is a bit more kind of, not as sweet as our Glenlossie was, but still got that kind of like lots of bakery notes that I got out of this. Lots of kind of toasted hazelnuts. And I've got in here a little American tasting note for you, which I have allowed to slide on in for a Bing cherry, although maybe you would do a better job of explaining Bing cherries than I would.
I don't know that I would. I mean, Bing cherries just tend to have a slight little tart quality to them. Yeah. Right?
But not as kind of like syrupy as in my head, I think like a maraschino cherry. A Bing cherry is
exactly. They're drier. Yeah, it's a dry tart cherry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I think really quickly for this one, I think it's kind of important to point out the reason, or one of the reasons why we selected this, is it was distilled on the day we incorporated. So this was a May 11th, 2011 distillation. And even though we're celebrating our 15th year of being a company, it was bottled as a 14-year-old, but this was distilled on our official company birthday, which I think is pretty damn cool. So this is cool. This is an anniversary bottling, if you will.
Oh, very nice. Maybe we should have put some party hats on it. You know, now that I'm looking at the finished products, maybe we should have put some party hats on the... 100%. It can be a little nugget from the podcast that people have learned instead.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was really delicious. I was also...
Yeah.
I'm excited for that anyway. Regardless of the special dates, which are just a little Bing cherry on the top, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I like that.
See what I did there?
And I love the texture on that one, too. The Strathmill, you know, usually I think of having a lighter touch to it. It has a really rich, heavy texture to it, which is nice. It's also something I don't think you tend to see a huge lot, even with independent bottlers. I'm trying to think of how many Strathmills I've really encountered in the wild. So, again, maybe a little bit something unusual for people who don't know Strathmill. Mm-hmm. The next one I've got is moving into Highland to Blair Atoll. I'm semi-convinced we've never done a Blair Atoll either. For ROW? For your markets, maybe not. For the US, we've done a few.
Definitely done them for the US, but I don't think for ROW I can recall as having done. This is another one of these funny little finishes that occasionally people look at and sort of come and ask questions. So this has got a 3-year finish in second fill bourbon barrels. Yeah. Or, a second fill singular bourbon barrel. And sometimes people ask, why would you put into a second fill bourbon barrel for a finish? And that usually allows me to have a conversation with people about how you can push and pull whiskey. So you can push it on by putting it in a big cask to put more flavour through it. And then you can pull it back a little bit by putting it in something not so active that you're hoping will be something that'll just sit in and kind of usually create a bit of texture. In my mind, the ones that are like this that have been put into second fills that I have found, they have really great deep texture. And this one does. It's got lots of nice kind of sweetness. We've got notes on here of like cinnamon bark and a little bit of funk, black licorice, which is not usually my bag for a tasting note. But if it's in check, then I'm quite happy to allow that past.
Yeah, it had almost like a rummy kind of quality to it, slight to my palate, which was really nice. And I think sometimes too, just to add on to what you're saying about that second fill extra maturation, is with Blair Atoll being that, you know, a lighter spirit, the wood can overtake sometimes. So yeah, I do like that second fill extra maturation. It allows for the spirit to kind of shine a bit more and not let the wood overtake. And I wonder, you know, if it did spend longer time in first fill, if the origin cask were first fill, it might have overtaken the spirit completely. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you really have to watch out with those lighter style spirits like Blair Atoll.
It could also have been that it was just in very, very refill and it was ticking along okay, but, you know, you just want a gentle influence rather than something big and heavy, that's especially, like you say, for this spirit style. You don't want something that's necessarily going to absolutely plow straight through it.
Yeah, this is true.
Okay, next, what should we move on to? Staying in the Highland and not too far away, we've got an Aberfeldy 12-year-old. Now, we have definitely done Aberfeldy before. Yes. I'm a big fan of Aberfeldy.
Same.
I think it's hideously underappreciated, which makes me a little bit sad. And I think this is absolutely delicious. Here we've got some of that Spanish oak. So what I was just mentioning earlier, that kind of like slightly punchier side of an Oloroso hogshead for 4 years. But the Aberfeldy spirit absolutely stands up to this brilliantly. I think when we were tasting this, we thought it was almost like in the style of like an Abuna or maybe like Glenfarclas 105. Like this is quite a punchy, rich, pretty full-on sherry bomb. I always like to say, as with all of the casks that we pick, it has got some great colour on it, but definitely I think people get a bit frightened sometimes by very big, rich sherry bombs. I've had loads of people compliment us on how even our big sherry drams, there's no sulphur. And I'm not massively sulphur sensitive, but I don't enjoy it. So if something came to us as a sample that was really heavily sulphurous, I probably wouldn't be rushing to put that in a bottle. So I understand people have like completely different tolerance levels. Some people are very excited for big grippy rubber boots. in their drums. But yeah, here we have 4 years in this. So lovely big. And I've got, just look at my notes here, I've got talking about here about it being like comforting, honey on porridge with dried figs and luscious prunes. Like, this was really delicious. Actually, my mouth's watering. That's embarrassing, isn't it? Yes, this was a really great dram.
Who's your redheaded guy, your redheaded musician guy?
Ed Sheeran.
Guitar player. Yeah, Ed Sheeran. He is a massive Aberfeldy fan. He has an Aberfeldy tattoo. Did you know that?
No, I did not. Oh.
He's a big Aberfeldy fan.
It's a distillery I think that people do tend to consume, but I've never heard anybody come out and be like, I am such a mega fan of Aberfeldy. And I wonder if it's just because it's fairly tightly locked down by the distillery. Some of the single casks I've had from the distillery are absolutely fabulous.
Brilliant, yeah.
So, and now Ed Sheeran likes them.
And now Ed Sheeran likes them. So, come on, you've got to like them. People, listeners, viewers.
Okay, well, you know, if that's what it takes for people to be excited, then if you're an Ed Sheeran fan, the Aberfeldy is for you.
There you go. And if you're not, well, still, drink it. It's good.
It's still delicious whiskey. Don't think about Ed Sheeran. Moving on to the one I always say in every release, I'm not really meant to have favourites, but this is definitely a favourite. I'm very excited about bottling this. So, podcast listeners and record note takers of our episodes will recall that last year, 2 years ago, some time ago, we did a Glen Scotia for the US. And I was extremely annoyed that I did not have the opportunity to, one, get my hands on a bottle, except you very kindly brought me one back. And two, there was not any other Scotia-based opportunities for ROW markets. Purely selflessly, of course. So now I have struck my revenge, and I have got a lovely little 11-year-old Glen Scotia in First Fill Bourbon. I am so excited about this.
Gorgeous spirit.
It was also a very early pick. And I would like to point out that when we pick these casks, I do try to do it somewhat blind-ish to stop me doing things like picking casks that are my birthday and or things that I have a natural bias for. I do try to do it in a fair way. So, I think I tried this twice blind before I was like, okay, it's not just my bias to Glen Scotia coming out here. So, delicious, smoky. I got loads of weird. I'm always a bit frightened of suggesting very specific, weird tasting notes because people either absolutely get on board with them or they contact me in person or on Instagram and say, you're talking out your behind. I got loads of like kind of barbecued sweet corn on this. So like lovely, like charred, like corn notes to it. But as if you've had a barbecue on the beach, it's still got that lovely kind of coastal maritime thing that you expect to get from Glen Scotia. This isn't the funkiest Glen Scotia. I know some of them are really cheesy, but this is perfect to me. Like very, very drinkable. I've actually put my reaction to drinking it. I've written, ooh, Pete is the immediate reaction on the palate, followed by punchy brine and wonderfully salty preserved lemons. Ooh. So, this is good. Gosh.
Yeah, now you're making my mouth water.
I'm going to have to find whatever shop end up with this, and I'm going to have to go sneak on in and take a case of it for myself.
Yes, yeah, I'm going to need a bottle or two of this, Jess.
Okay, so we're going to have to let that fall off a lorry or something. Steve, if you're listening, I don't mean it really. I do. So I'm excited for this. 11 years old. Perfect. The only thing that's slightly irritating is that this has come from a bourbon barrel, so of course doesn't have the world's largest outturn. So you and I are going to have to be quick on the old clickety-click on the website.
Yep.
So
understood.
That's the Glen Scotia. We're heading towards the end, just in case people listening to this think I've got an endless release. This is number 6, and it's a nice little pair. So we've got the Glen Scotia, and I thought it'd be fun to pair it with sister distillery Loch Lomond. Everybody knows Loch Lomond is an incredibly complicated distillery to explain if you're talking quickly. But they have a fantastical, they are the whole Scotch offering in one convenient site. They're a one-stop shop.
It's amazing.
This is a medium peat Loch Lomond. So I know that means it could be one of the inch Moens, but none of our paperwork said some sort of inch on it. So we're going for medium peat.
Yeah.
We're going for medium peat Loch Lomond. And after all, I guess it doesn't matter as long as it's tasty, right? I thought this was a fun pair of 11-year-olds who could do a little side-by-side, because here we've also got 11 years old. First fill, bourbon maturation for full maturation for both of those. And I just thought it'd be a little kind of smoky side-off with each other. This is a bit of a brute. It's at 62%, but honestly, I was really surprised that was the final ABV because it drinks so easily. This has got a little bit kind of sweeter side of smokiness to it, so maybe not so coastal and funky as Glen Scotia is, but it's got a more kind of cereally, toasty grains. But what I liked about this one is it gave you a little bit of pickle brine at the end on the finish. This is a really fun
naughtiness. Yeah,
this is a really fun Loch Lomond to put against the Glen Scotia, but also I think very nice to just drink on its own. I think Loch Lomond is a brilliant distillery. I just find sometimes if I've not really switched my thinking brain on, sometimes it's a lot of combinations of stills, fermentations, yeasts, casks. It can be a little bit intimidating, but my friend is one of the global ambassadors, and Alan does a brilliant job of making it sound very easy and very straightforward. So I think that's really kind of when listeners, we all know it's not. When I do it in a tasting, I've got a file that Loch Lomond sent me that's got like a graph representation of all the different combinations of stills that you can have. That's very helpful, but it does still feel like you're in one of those Netflix crime dramas where they've got like bits of red string against loads of photos or like pinned into a wall to help you debunk what you're tasting.
Exactly.
So that's the first 6. They are for ROW markets. So they're the markets I work in. As ever, when we're on Facebook, I will put the places when I know things are going out in the world, as and when it is. And like I say, there will be a couple of UK retailers that have US shipping capabilities should you really wish to taste out the things that we have suggested. But the 7th release, which if you remember, I said I was going to leave to the end, is a deliberate leaving it to the end situation, because this is the first time we are releasing a cask that will be available in all of the markets, including North America. Ooh, exciting. And this is a 10-year-old Dalmonach, which we put into first fill Amontillado sherry butt.
I'm so excited. I am so excited for this, Jess.
This is so delicious, and it's very exciting to have something that we could share with everybody. Do you want to talk about... Oh, maybe I could tell us... So this is a cask that we had acquired a while ago, and we, even pre-joining ASC... this Amontillado, but arrived along with a whole host of other casks all the way from Jerez to our old bottling hole down in the Borders, and we have played around over the years. And over the years, there's been several releases of casks from this container that came from Jerez, but this is the first time we're releasing anything from one of the butts that we acquired.
Correct.
And I'm very excited for this.
Yeah, and so we got the Dalmonach liquid and re-racked this ourselves, putting it in the Amontillado butt. And the reason for us releasing this 10-year-old in Amontillado for our 15th anniversary is very deliberate. It's a nod to our friends at Isle of Arran, at La Cranza. From our very beginnings, they said they supported us. And they said they wanted to be the first distillery we bottled whiskey from. And that was so special to us. It really meant the world to us. And when we think back to their 15th anniversary, their special bottling was a whiskey that was matured in Amontillado sherry. And
yes, it was.
Right. And so we thought it was a nice way to sort of nod to them, because that's one of my favorite Arran whiskeys. I know it's one of Jason's favorite Arran whiskeys. I don't know where your taste buds lie in the overall canon of Arran bottlings. But then the other thing too, from the perspective of, just us as a company as well, and me more specifically, I'm an Imperial fanatic. Dalmenic was built on the grounds of the demolished Imperial distillery, right? So there's a lot of connections as to why this is important to us as a company. And so releasing this to all of our markets, including the US, for our 15th anniversary, it's very important. This is to me, this is our most special release to date. And goddamn if it's not delicious.
That's big words.
From from the meaning behind it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm with you entirely, and I'm very excited for this because it's delicious, and it's got loads of the Amontillato's really done a good number in this. Like, it's got loads of kind of those coastal maritime characters without needing to put any peat anywhere near it. Plus, I think Dalmenic is a distillery that's still relatively low on everybody's radars, I guess, because it's only relatively recently we've started getting double-digit age releases from the distillery and through various indies. So I guess maybe people won't be so aware of it, but certainly giving the connection of it being on the site of Imperial, I think might help a few people place where it is in Speyside. But yeah, the Amontillado is really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's one final release, Jess, that I wanted to bring up that is actually an exclusive to Canada. Speaking of Canadian whiskeys, now this isn't a Canadian whiskey, but speaking of
not. Don't confuse everyone.
Yeah,
but it's for Canada.
Yeah. This is for Canada. Our dear friends at PWS, who are distributors there in the market, we have done a special cask with them really for all of the clubs that have supported both PWS and Single Cask Nation. We've been with PWS for 6 years, and across those 6 years, Travis and everybody on the PWS team have done such an excellent job of fostering relationships with these clubs and making sure to look out for them and bring some of the best whiskeys to them. And thankfully they consider Single Cask Nation some of the best whiskeys, because they look after us well. And so anyway, Travis had said, is there something special that we could do for the clubs? Is there a special cask? And so we're looking through our sheets. We found a cask from Pulteney, and this is a 12-year-old from a first fill bourbon barrel, and it is at 56.2% alcohol, and it was distilled on August 27th, which is my daughter's birthday, by the way, which is very special. And you can see here on the
with the birthday cask
label, right? Yeah, Great North Dram, the edition one. And
you have to say that in a better Canadian accent. You have to do that more like
A edition.
Yeah, there you go.
See, that's
channel your inner Shawsey.
Yeah, I know. I'm not a good Canadian. But anyway, I thought I would just give a little pour and give a toast to our Canadian friends and to our friends who make some great Canadian whiskey.
That seems lovely.
Now,
this is awkward, listeners, because I don't have a delicious dram lined up under the screen where we are right now to pour, so I'm going to have to just let Joshua do all the tasting of the delicious things for you.
So one thing I haven't told my daughters, I told you this was distilled on my daughter's birthday. Up here, there's her name.
I don't know if this is going to come out in the
mountains.
camera.
I don't know if you can see that. Up in the Mountains is her name. And so on the day that she turns 21, I'm going to give her a bottle of this.
That's such a nice idea. I tell you, we had to do I nearly had a magnifying glass out. It's really subtle. Once you see it, it's really obvious. But at first, I had all the boys in the warehouse looking for it.
Oh, really? Did you?
Yeah.
And did they find it?
It took them a while. And for two of them, I had to be like, it's just here, point.
Very subtle. Oh, this is like salty. This is like salted butter. Delicate fruits. I know. I apologize, Jess. You don't have any whiskey in front of you, but
it's making me really thirsty. The listeners could probably hear me like drooling away at the microphone. Oh, it's like salted butter. It's citrusy. There's a brightness to it. All right, I'm gonna take a wee sip. So, cheers.
Cheers. It's not even 12 o'clock here in Connecticut. Oh, my good golly gosh. Oh, that is great Pulteney. Like this is one of those casks where, you know, when you want to show someone an example of what you think that distillery does best, this is what that distillery does best. This is like the best version. This is them on steroids. It's all the fruit. It's all the salt. Great mouthfeel. Finish is just not finishing.
Man, okay, so now we all need to get on a big giant bus and go to Canada to purchase this Pulteney.
Man, oh Manischewitz. Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Great spirit forward. Decent oak to frame it. Yeah, I think the people, all the groups, all the clubs are going to be very happy with this one. Thanks again to Travis, Bearded Dave, I'm Elliot, Steve, Cam. There you go. Those are the names. That's everybody at PWS for your support on this cask. Thanks to everybody with all the clubs, and thanks again to Sammy for joining us today to talk about Found North. And Jess, I'm excited for you to come out to the Jubilee. You can finally taste
you have no
some
idea.
delicious.
I'm so excited.
It's going to be great.
So many delicious things to drink. So many delicious snacks to snack on. If I wasn't being already in attendance, I'd be snapping up those tickets and getting in a queue to come over.
There you go. There you go. All right. Well, Jess, I bid you adieu. Before I bid you adieu, actually, what do I have to do? I have to tell people. Where's my banner? Where's my banner? I've got to tell people to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Correct.
That's very important. And email us with questions. This is funny. Look at this banner. It says, email us to debate. I forget what we were meant to debate, but you can email us info@singlecastnation.com. Do you remember what we were meant to debate?
I don't know. Maybe we're setting up a Single Cast Nation debating society.
Oh, maybe. Single Debate Nation?
That's not a very good debate, though, is it? That sounds a bit one-sided.
Yeah, it'd be Multi-Debate Nation, right?
That's some different guys. We're definitely, yeah. Send us your opinions, then. Less debating, more opinions.
Yeah. All right. Jess, as always, it's a pleasure.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.